Hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining me on 10 Minute Tuesday. We're on episode 15, and I got my guy on here, Chris Hyde. Chris, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you, Sekou?
Good, good. Thanks so much for joining. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Cool, awesome. All right, episode 15. We've done, these before, 10 Minute Tuesday, so let's go ahead and hop into it. So, Chris, let's do an introduction about yourself.
All right, so I'm Chris Hyde. I'm an independent BI consultant working, only with the Microsoft stuff. So no Tableau, sorry. I split my time about 50-50 between Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Frisco, Texas. Let's see what else. I grew up in the UK, but I've been in the States over 35 years now. So yeah, who knows what I am anymore.
Just a little bit of everything, everywhere,
Yeah.
all at the same time. That's awesome. All right, so hearing your backstory, you've been in the UK, you've been in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm sure you've done stuff prior to that, but what really compelled you to get into data to begin with?
All right. Well, I know you've heard this story before because I remember being on a panel with you where I've told it. But I left college early without graduating, and I started working as a machinist. And after about 6 years of a machinist, I started developing an allergy to the solvents that we were using. And my hands just cratered up like the surface of Mars. There was no way I could keep running the lathes. Right. So they moved me into the QA department. But I'm the new man on the totem pole, as it were. So they put me, in third shift, working like 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. It wasn't that much to do. Not a full 8 hours worth. So I started teaching myself databases using Access. And, I learned how to kind of model data appropriately to better track how we were doing our jobs there. And so then I took that to my next manufacturing job as a quality engineer, so kind of a step up. And then at some point I realized, well, if I'm going to be doing this data thing, let's really do the data thing. And I got a real data job from there.
Wow.
It was about 25 years ago, and it's been nonstop since then.
Oh my goodness, the sky's been the limit. So it was one thing to I'm in this role, I don't like it, but let me figure out how to learn this, and then boom, off to the races.
Yeah, and a complete accident too. If I hadn't developed that allergy, I might still be a machinist.
Wow, that's crazy. These are the favorite parts of doing this is to hear how the origin point. Comic books, everybody has an origin point. So what's everybody's origin story to get into it. So that's awesome. All right, so understanding that had that job, there's probably some other stuff, but what's been your least favorite job to date that you've had?
All right, so. Yeah, I'm going to leave out. I think like a lot of us, I have a couple jobs where I've kind of butted heads with a manager along the way, or I haven't really agreed with the way they've been doing things, but those aren't that fun to talk about. Yeah. So I'll talk about my first true data job. So I was at the University of Albany, and it was on their phone systems. And they'd contracted a big phone company to manage all their phone systems. So, but the big phone company then subcontracts that out to the company that actually makes the switches and the phone equipment.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't very good at the software side of the telecom. So they reached out to our company. So here I am working for a consulting company, working for a consulting company, working for a phone company, working for a university. And at the point that I came in, it was 8 years into a 10-year contract. So the university they were no longer incentivized to get things finished, right? Because they're like, hey, free phone for the last 10 years. If nothing happens. So it was just navigating all of that was interesting.
Yeah, I can imagine the piles of red tape and the bureaucracy and just all the stuff that comes along with it.
Yeah,
I bet that sounds enjoyable.
That's a word.
Yeah, awesome. All right. So with that in mind, understanding that you had so much red tape and a lot of things in that particular role, but you had green pastures and a lot of successes, but you also had some failures. What do you think has been your biggest failure, and what did you learn from that experience?
All right. So I've had kind of two failures that really hit me in the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. Uh, One failure was I was asked to help write a book, and I wasn't able to complete my chapters for that. And another was a consulting company that I really wanted, uh, you know, I really wanted to work for them. They brought me on to help with something, and I was in the middle of another full-time job. Both those situations were I didn't really have the time to give that
Yeah.
they deserved, and I should have said no,
Yeah.
but I didn't because of my ego.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trying to be much better about, being realistic about, what I can do. And then if an opportunity pops up, am I just taking it for my ego?
Yes.
Right. Because
Awesome.
that's, yeah. So yeah, anybody who's out there, please don't make, please make sure when you're taking something on, take it for the right reasons and
Yeah.
not the wrong reasons.
I
Because
think I think
yeah,
that's
it's,
great advice. That's definitely great advice. I think I've heard people talk about it. I've been a proponent of that, like myself, where you know spreading yourself too thin for whatever reason, and it's the opportunity, or I'm ready for this, or here's what I want, and then we get into it. It's like, oh crap, I didn't think this through, or man, I bit off a little bit more than I choose. So I think the intentionality of saying yes or no, I think it's really a skill that you kind of develop. And until you like have been in those situations, you don't really develop it of saying like no is actually a good thing.
yeah, no, it's tough to develop that skill until you mess up the
Yeah.
first time, or in my case, the first couple of times.
Yeah. Yeah. I've definitely been at that point for sure in my life where I've had to say no in order to get time back. Like I thought I could manage it, or I've even had to like say no to existing things that I've been on. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not giving you everything I got. Like let's just switch this up, or let's not do this. You deserve someone who
Yeah,
has more time, or let's revisit this later down the line.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So what is one piece of advice you'd give someone who's just starting out in their career?
I think it would be to, you know, don't sort of blindly trust the experts when you hear some advice about something or some technical solution. Because there's been a lot of times that I've heard experts say something, or I've said something myself, and it's been applicable to that specific situation, but completely wrong for other situations, right?
Yeah.
But it's never, it's rarely given that context,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So definitely, yeah, kind of dig in for that context,
I th-
and if you hear some advice that's being given as an absolute, try and find out, okay, well, when is that absolutely right? And what are the situations, when that doesn't work for you?
I think that's great advice. That's like a really, really great piece of advice that I've heard on this, doing this, and even just in my journey that I'm definitely going to take from this conversation. Because you're so right, right? You see these experts and you see the people who have the years of experience, and you might have a bias in your head because like they've been doing this for 20 plus years. So if they say do this, this is the right way to do it, but it's not always applicable to what it is that you're working on.
And I know when I'm giving, advice or talking about a technical solution, I might be the one being wrong
Yeah.
because I've got in my head that specific situation,
Yeah.
right? So I try and, when I take it into my presenting, I try and remember to give that context. But,
Wow.
sometimes I don't, and sometimes I'm wrong too.
Yeah, and that's okay, right? It's totally
Yeah,
fine, right?
yeah,
There's no one on this earth who like knows everything about every single solution or every
right.
technology. Like it's impossible.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so tell me about the most influential people in your life and how they made an impact on you.
All right, so I'm going to skip talking about my parents. That would be pretty easy. I'm lucky enough to have a good relationship with my folks, so it'd be very easy just to that's two out of the three out of the way. So I'll skip that. Uh, I'll talk about the math teacher that I had in high school, Mr. Dussault. He was also the computer teacher, and I use the things I've learned from him every single day. Every time I write a word clause and have to use like Boolean logic, that's something that he drilled into me.
Wow.
And he really drilled into me, in the computer classes programming in the most efficient manner. And I remember sometimes feeling that he was being harder on me than other people, because he would send my stuff back until it was the absolute most perfect algorithm.
Wow.
And I'll always thank him for that, because that's lasted my whole career. And that was one of the things that actually helped me make that jump from machinist into data, was having that really heavy comp sci and math background in high school. I don't think I would have been able to do that without him. And then once I got into the professional world, I wasn't part of a real team for my first few jobs. And that first job where I had a good manager that was managing a team, and he made sure that we were really doing things the right way. We had a good defined SQL coding style that I still use to this day. Matt Denton's his name. He taught us how to kind of have regimented deployments. Before CI/CD was a real thing, we kind of had to do. We're responsible for our own deployment. So how do we do that in a controlled manner so that we can, test out the deployment, reproduce the deployment, roll back the deployment. But he really, helped teach me what it's like to do, data stuff in an enterprise environment. So I'm very grateful for that.
That's awesome. Like, those are really like influential people. That make a lasting impact. And I wonder at the time if they even knew that they were making such a big impact on you while they were helping you out.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
I do need to go back and write both of them a letter and thanking them for their impact on me personally and my career.
Wow. Well, awesome. That's great. This was one of my favorite ones, definitely. So, Chris, where can the people find you online?
Wow, it's zoomed by. Listen, 10
minutes.
10 minutes. So, while Twitter is still up, and if you're watching this video in the future, maybe Twitter won't be around anymore. But if it is, you can always get me on there. I'm at Chris Hyde, HYDE 325. So at Chris Hyde 325. Love for people to reach out. And I'm definitely looking right now for a couple of new mentees who are maybe early on in their career, maybe from a background that we don't see as much in IT and data. I'd love to take a couple of people on to talk about career advice, maybe learning SQL well, those kind of things. So I'd love to, if a couple of people like that are interested, please reach out to me at my Twitter handle at Chris Hyde 325, and let's start that conversation.
Oh, that's perfect. I'm going to blast that all on social media. Chris is looking for mentees and get that out there. So, Chris, thank you so much. I remember, when is the first time I met you? Was it Nashville SQL Saturday? Or I know we did a panel in Louisiana.
Yeah, I think it must have been Nashville where we met. But I really remember talking a lot on that panel. And
Yeah. So, and that was right before COVID hit. That was crazy. That was like the last travel weekend. But I always enjoy watching your progress, and thanks for all the help you've done, especially when I get stuck on like Python and just trying to do like basic read CSV stuff. So, thanks for being an advocate in my corner, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, anytime you need it, just where to get me.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe, and we will talk to you all next week. You all have a great day.
All right. Bye, everyone.